The Combat Sports Report has begun. I am Gabe Morency on the SportsGrid television network. Shout out to all of our viewers on whatever platform, network, or app you are watching us on. Let's do this thing. It's the calm before the storm as far as the UFC is concerned. International Fight Week. Conor McGregor's return to the octagon. So this week, BKFC takes center stage. It's the Liberty Brawl in Philadelphia, and a couple of times a year, BKFC put on these mega cards in the city of anything but brotherly love. And isn't Philadelphia just the perfect place for these BKFC big-time cards? And they fill up the Xfinity Mobile Arena, which is super impressive. And we've got a stacked card coming up this Friday night in Philadelphia. It's the Liberty Brawl. We had Austin Trout on the program a couple of weeks ago, former world champion, of course, boxer, and one of the pound for pound best fighters in BKFC, obviously, still undefeated, and Austin Trout is stepping up and in as the main event, and we've got numbers for you as these fights rapidly approach us right now. Now, listen, BetOnline isn't the only book out there that has BKFC. BKFC continues to get bigger and more mainstream, so sports books are starting to add it to the rotation, but not everybody has. And BKFC and BetOnline are partners, right? They've got a sponsorship deal with them, so they're the first ones out of the gate. So if you're into BKFC, BetOnline is a good spot for you to check out numbers. Austin Trout is a minus 500 favorite against Ben Bonner in this fight. And all due respect to Ben Bonner, I'm actually surprised that the number isn't bigger. It is Austin Trout that we're talking about. But one thing with Austin Trout is he's not finishing people, right? He's so smart. He's such a tactician. He's hard to hit. These dudes have a hard time hitting him. He racks up points on you. And he beats you, but I do believe that Austin Trout is going to remain undefeated. Austin Trout is a minus 500 favorite. We have Britton Hart and Sarah Schell as the co-main event. Britton Hart is a minus 280 favorite in this fight. Schell is a plus 185 underdog. This next one, there's going to be fireworks, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's fireworks like outside the ring, like before, after, because wherever Garbarino goes, chaos goes. John Garbarino, of course, Philadelphia fighter, minus 250 favorite against longtime combat sport veteran Mike Richmond. Mike Richmond, plus 170 underdog. Garbarino fighting in his backyard. Jake Bostwick and Cody Russell. This one is closer to a lot of times in BKFC, you have heavy favorites. You notice, like, this card is a little bit more bettable because a lot of times you just get these massive, numbers. But Cody Russell, minus 155 against Jake Bostwick, plus 115. Turnbull is a 300 favorite, minus 300 against Hansvik. Hansvik plus 200. Lex Ludlow, the most hated man in combat sports. Lex Ludlow, who's been on this show before, he's the biggest favorite. And we'll see actually if Lex is on with us today. Actually, he was supposed to, but it's fight week. The fight's coming up, etc., and it's always chaotic tracking these fighters down. And they got more important things to do a couple of days, and hours before the biggest fight of their lives. So Ludlow's fighting again. He's got a great story, Ludlow. Really isn't it true? Lex Ludlow is actually named after Lex Luger. Like, his father was like a massive wrestling fan, and Lex is a massive wrestling fan. So, yeah, he's actually named after the wrestler. So, Lex is a massive favorite, minus 1,500 against Drew Nolan. This is kind of a weird fight. I don't know, they're kind of setting it up for Lex to keep on going. He's 3-0. He's a local fighter in Philadelphia. But Drew Nolan's 1-3, and he's getting a 3-0 Lex Ludlow in his backyard here. So Ludlow's a minus 1,500 favorite in this fight. Billy Graves and Griffin. Griffin is a minus 250 favorite Graves is up plus 170. And the opening fight of the night, Pagan's a 1,200 favorite against Pernell, plus 750. That's BKFC in Philadelphia. Little 4th of July, pre-4th of July fireworks on the 3rd. Big card in Philly. Like I said, BKFC's growth just continues, and their popularity continues. The Fenway Park card is going to be sick. That has really put them on the map as far as the mainstream sports media is concerned. But in the fight game, right, they're just building up. They just keep having cards on a weekly basis all over the world, and BKFC is relatable to everybody, right? Not everybody is down with the modern politics of the UFC and the fighters and, all the crap that goes along with it. BKFC, you notice, guys don't really talk much. They just show up and punch you in the face, and there's a million fights, rapid fire and stuff, so we look forward to seeing how this plays out. But Austin Trout at minus 500 is obviously great parlay material. I do think Garbarino will get it done in his backyard against Mike Richmond. You look at Lex Ludlow, it's minus 1,500. What can you really do with that? So BKFC takes center stage this week, but countdown is officially on right now as far as Conor McGregor's return to the octagon. And Conor's got a lot going on, doesn't he? He is like one of the co-owners now. He is like one of the co-owners now of BKFC. And I wonder, one thing, and I don't really have a question, there's one thing the UFC does well is make money. And they run their business. Everybody always has an opinion what they should do, but let's call it out for what it is. They are damn good at what they do from a business perspective. Yet, it seems strange to me to bring back Conor McGregor at this time right now. Like in the middle of the World Cup, like the World Cup is dominating. The World Cup is dominating like the media landscape right now. We're coming off the White House card, and, we're in the summertime here. People go on vacation, etc. Like, it just seems like, after all this time off, was this really the best time to bring Conor McGregor back? Like I said, it seems kind of anticlimactic to me. And we'll see next week if business starts to pick up and the hype starts to pick up around this. And is Max Holloway the right opponent? Right? Let's give credit to Conor in the sense that he's coming back and he's fighting a badass. And I got to be honest with you, if I was Conor McGregor and even if I was the UFC, I would have said, there's no shame in easing into this. Right? Now, he's not going to fight somebody off the Contender Series, but, Max Holloway is a big, piece of flesh to chew off in your return. A Max Holloway that wants revenge from losing to Conor earlier in his career. So, I don't know, the sell, I'd almost like to put in wrestling terms. It's we're getting one of our stars potentially beat here, and we're not really even getting a big lead up or pop out of it. You know what I mean? If you go all year up to a WrestleMania, the champ, whatever, and you get a big pop and, you get the big build up, doesn't really matter who wins or loses after. They're not getting the pop out of this, and then suddenly Connor's, potentially could lose. His shine is off and his money-making potential is off. Not fully, but a bit in the UFC. And Conor just wants to get out of this contract and get to BKFC right now as well. Right? So we'll talk about this and more. Combat Sports Report continues. Bring it.
Players in the WNBA going, hey man, we were here when they were paying us nothing. We were here when we had to go overseas to make a paycheck. You're walking in here, you don't realize how easy you have it. So there is some of that too. But yeah, Jordan got beaten up. Magic got beaten up. Bird got beaten up. Kareem got beaten up. You know, Wemby is getting beaten up, by the way.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Their pitching has been really good in their bullpen, too. So Chris Getz, their general manager, credit to him. This guy was getting pounded a couple of years ago for decisions and everything like that. But, man, it is seemingly working out. The fans, by the way, all of a sudden are pouring in there. Their attendance is on the rise, too. So a great sign that the White Sox are in this thing. Now, long-term, I don't know. Like, is this a postseason team? Is it a deep postseason team?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Combat Sports Report continues, as does the countdown to the Liberty Brawl in Philadelphia, PA. What better city to host a bare-knuckle event? And this event is a super cool one. We just went over the odds over at betonline.ag, and they're not the only sportsbook that post odds for this, but they're the first ones that post odds for this. And they do have they are the official sponsor sportsbook of BKFC, but the more sports books that pick it up, the bigger the sport will become. It's as simple as that, right? We've seen all the attention that it got from the Fenway Park announcement. Like, Sports Illustrated never talked about BKFC before, or like ESPN, or all these other sort of mainstream websites. But you hold an event at Fenway Park, they don't really have a choice but to pay attention. But they've been filling up the arena in Philadelphia a couple of times a year, and one of the fighters that is always on these cards in Philadelphia, they like to have local fighters on the card, is Garbarino. And Garbarino's a troublemaker. We got to get him on the show. Let's just call it out for what it is. But he might reach through the screen and try to attack me, because anytime you see a video of this dude, he's getting into it. like in real life, though, too. You remember there was a video a couple of months ago of him on the street in Philadelphia, and he started smashing up the Barstool bar in Philadelphia, the window. He wanted to fight the bouncers, and there was a big scene on the street. He started dropping people. He really is. When you think of some of the dudes like Austin Trout, who's on the card, very well measured, soft spoken, former boxing champion, millionaire. He looks his part. Garbarino plays his part. So Garbarino is fighting Mike Richmond, who is not a man to be messed with. Former Marine, the Marine Mike Richmond, UFC vet, badass. So they're throwing it down. And this is from the presser, in which Garbarino decided to welcome to Philadelphia by throwing some cannolis at him.
Oh, my God. And there went the cannoli. If you were wondering if you had a bet on that one, you got it. Whole box of cannolis. Richmond Garbarino feature fight. The cannoli has flown. Go ahead, Mike.
You feel better, kid? You feel better, boy? Go on, get, little boy. Go on, get now. You ain't gonna get me mad. I'm gonna save it for Friday. You got me.
Looking forward to this fight. Garbarino's the favorite here, and I respect Garbarino. He's a great fighter. Listen, like I said, he knows his role and he brings it. But this is a step up in class for him. Garbarino hasn't fought a guy of Mike Richmond's caliber before, but we'll get into our best bets a little bit later on. But BKFC pressers are always generally pretty insane. Like, UFC ones are now as well. Everything is for show now. The only difference is these dudes are kind of like, it's a little different in BKFC. Like, they're not just talkers, because anyone that's going to do this really legit is kind of like twisted in the head. And we have a women's championship fight, and I really like this fight from a betting perspective a lot. We got Shell versus Britton Hart here, and Britton Hart is the champion, and they're teeing up their championship fight.
This means everything to me. This means something to me.
Well, then why are you traveling Europe?
Talk shit.
I'm repeating what you're saying.
Sign the contract.
Calm down, champ. Calm down, champ.
No, I'm the champ. You don't get to tell me
I'm in your head, girl. I'm calm and relaxed.
You're going to tell me to calm down?
There's no talk
All right.
You're going to tell me to calm down?
This is our co-main event, folks.
To calm down on Friday.
It's only getting hotter.
I don't know why they told him to slow down and let the dudes throw cannolis at each other. Let them keep going. Like, you know what I mean? Let them keep going. But like I said, like, they're doing a good job of selling this. And Sarah Shell, so Britton Hart was the blonde one. She's the one with the belt, the strap. She's a -300 favorite. I don't want to say that, like, this is one of those, like, if you're having financial issues, just load the F up on it. But Britton Hart's not losing. Like, she's not losing. Sarah Shell has like 3 fights in her life. She's on like the National Fitness Council. Like, God bless her. Like, she's literally like fighting for fun. Like, literally, like, you know what I mean? It's not her career type thing. She's good, right? She's tough. She's good at it. But like, she's on the National Fitness Council, and like, she's like a physical fitness teacher or whatever. Like, so she's all about positive fitness and, showing women and girls that they can participate in sport. I like that she chooses BKFC to prove the point. But like Britton Hart said, Britton Hart's fought 13 times in this stuff, guys. Like, she's fought in the best of the best, and she's won 5 in a row. As well. So I do like Britton Hart a lot. We're going to get to our best bets, though, for this card. And then we get to Bonner and Trout. And like I said, we had Austin Trout on the show a couple of weeks ago. Just a classy dude, soft-spoken, really nice, super athlete, and he hasn't lost in this yet. And Bonner's coming in here, and Bonner thinks he's leaving with the strap. Let's see what Bonner has to say.
Let me just say it now, this man's chin has not been tested like I am going to test it. I'm going to take his head off his neck. Let me tell you, on America's most famous weekend, the UK will come and liberate every bit of it. The birthplace of America, Philadelphia, the UK will come and liberate. Let me tell you that belt is coming back to the UK. No doubt about it.
Look, I love his belief.
Liberated.
And you don't like Austin Trout, I love his belief. Listen, Bonner looks the part, and you're like, damn. And when you watch Bonner and you see his highlights and stuff, if you haven't seen him, you're like, yeah, damn, this guy's a killer. But in all actuality, his last 3 fights, he hasn't knocked anybody out. He's gone the distance. So if you're not knocking these other dudes out, like, the whole thing with Austin Trout is you can't connect with him. He's a former world champion boxer, and he's still an elite athlete. He's not old, right? So he's got the bobbing and the weaving and the head movement, and guys start swinging at air and stuff, and Austin just sort of racks up the points as the fight goes along. But can't wait to see how that fight plays out. Can't wait to see how this card plays out. And, man, we're fired up for that Fenway Park card. Hopefully our boy Kai Stewart can stay out of trouble before late August. We got to get an update on what happened with that situation. Combat Sports Report continues. Bring it.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
like,
on
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
Combat Sports Report continues. I am Gabe Morency. It's time for our always popular videos of the week, and we've got some fun ones again this week. Now, I'm sure everybody knows somebody that thinks, you know what, I could do that, right? I could fight in a UFC, right? Not even a UFC. Like I could step into a cage and fight someone, even on the regional level. It's like, no, you really couldn't, but okay. But a lot, I know a lot of old school, not so much the new school dudes. New school dudes are more sort of well-trained, but a lot of the older guys really did just sort of like watch it, right? They watched it. They watched like the early days of Shamrock and stuff and said, I want to do that, right? John Jones basically like was watching Bruce Lee on YouTube. I think of my boy Elias Theodoro, may he rest in peace, who he really did. Like, he said he was watching the UFC in college, and he told his friends, he goes, I think I could do this, and everyone laughed at him. And then he actually did it. He goes, I wanted to shut them up. He was on the football team. He played football. He was on a bad football team. Like, they literally set a record for, like, the most losses ever in a row, like, of any, like, league type thing. It's the University of Toronto. I think they lost, like, 91 games in a row or something like I think he told me, he goes, yeah, I never won a game. Like, he played, like, college football. And he said he was watching the UFC with his boys and, drinking some beers on a Saturday night, and he started talking smack and stuff, and they were like, shut up, dude. You can't do that. Like, I think he was a kicker even, too, or something. And he goes, yeah, I can. He goes, I will. And he told him, I took karate a bit as a kid, he told him. Everyone laughed at him and stuff. Literally, like 3 years later, the guy's on, like, pay-per-views on national television and stuff, and he became a star because he was a good-looking dude. But like I said, unfortunately, he passed away. May he rest in peace. They always take the successful and the good young, don't they? But there's some instances in which, you know what, maybe we could get a win. Maybe we could get a win as a fighter. Now, I'm not ready to do it. But in certain circumstances, maybe we could. And there's been a lot of talk about, like, we've seen a lot of quick knockouts recently, right? There was the quick tap, quick knockout. There was it was like a 4-second knockout last week, and I don't know, was it one of the league? But here's one of the quickest taps ever, and this is, like I said, this is a free gift. Like I said, imagine if you had money on this fight.
Rota de colisão.
O atleta Michel
o cabelo exótico, o árbitro Menino Nogueira.
Não deu para entender até agora o que está acontecendo, se ele sentiu algum pedido para parar.
Não tem como eu lutar, porque eu peguei uma queda de moto, aí não tinha nem como eu enfrentar ele desse jeito, ferido.
Tá reclamando de um ralado aqui, ó. Pô, tu não é lutador, pô? Desculpa aí pelo rapaz que correu da luta também.
It's too good. He says after, he goes, yeah, I couldn't fight. I crashed my motorcycle on the way to the arena. I swear I've seen it all in this business. That's too good. He goes, yeah, I crashed. The dude crashed his motorcycle on the way to the venue. You saw us all bandaged up. He rolls up. And you hear the other guy, he goes, yeah, nothing wrong with a little free scratch. He takes the money, takes the check, nothing wrong with a free scratch. He goes, you're not a fighter, though. That's just too good. I crashed my motorcycle. There's just no way I can fight. All right, speaking of fighting, what the hell is Tyson Fury up to? Isn't Tyson Fury supposed to be fighting real fighters like Anthony Joshua? He's fighting this dude who's fighting like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. So the guy knocking 3 other people out is the guy fighting Tyson Fury. These other 3 dudes are MMA, like media, social media dudes in Eastern Europe and Europe. He's just beating the crap out of them. Yeah, so this is the guy that Tyson Fury is fighting next. That bald dude is a weird-looking dude, huh? Like, he should be in, like, a horror movie. Like, you get that guy creeping in the bushes and stuff, that'll scare the hell out of people. That this dude here. Hey, get out of my bush. I'm telling you, if I was a casting director, I'm casting this guy. Creep number 1. All right, do we have time for this last one? I'm not sure. All right, roll this one. All right, look at this guy. So he gets dropped, but he's badass. He's like Eastern European Russian. He shows he's all right. Look. No, I'm good. I'm good. Told you we had some good videos of the week this week. Bring it.
Older players in the WNBA going, hey man, we were here when they were paying us nothing. We were here when we had to go overseas to make a paycheck. You're walking in here, you don't realize how easy you have it. So there is some of that too. But yeah, Jordan got beaten up. Magic got beaten up. Bird got beaten up. Kareem got beaten up. You know, Wemby is getting beaten up, by the way.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Pitching has been really good in their bullpen too. So Chris Getz, their general manager, credit to him. You know, this guy was getting pounded a couple of years ago for decisions and everything like that, but man, it is seemingly working out. The fans, by the way, all of a sudden are pouring in there. Their attendance is on the rise too. So a great sign that the White Sox are in this thing. Now, long term, I don't know. Like, is this a postseason team? Is it a deep postseason team?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Combat Sports Report continues. Let's do this thing on the SportsGrid television network. We've talked a lot of BKFC so far, and rightfully so. It's the Liberty Brawl in Philadelphia, and we've got our best bets coming up for you for the BKFC card a little bit later on, although you kind of can get the direction that we're going in. Now, listen, BKFC steps up, Liberty Brawl, perfect 4th of July type of stuff. They do the Knuckle Mania stuff around the Super Bowl weekend. BKFC starting to carve out a nice niche for themselves in the fight world. UFC, of course, puts so much equity into the White House card, and it's kind of been, the calm after the storm, so to speak. But the UFC is returning next week. It's International Fight Week, which is, historically a big week for them and a big card for them. And I think we can say the same thing about next week's card. Let's bring in Tom Zaffino right now. Tom, listen, you bet on all different types of sports, but you're a big-time MMA guy, obviously. I can't help but think that it's just strange timing to me to bring back Conor McGregor now, right? They got to do it at some point, right? And I understood not doing it on the White House card because they, they weren't selling that, and whatever. Like, it was just, that was a different type of card. But if I'm going to bring Conor back and, he's only got a couple of fights left on his contract, I'm not going to bury it in the World Cup. Now, maybe they could build off the World Cup and try to piggyback this, and they're, they've been doing it. Oh, what a big day in sports it's going to be, and et cetera. But I guess there's no perfect time to do it. But I guess I'll ask you, in the MMA world, are people really buzzing about this? Or is there massive hype?
Yeah, I mean, I've, just walking around in my daily life, I have had a few people come up to me and talk to me about the return of McGregor, asking me, does he have a shot? Because he does bring buzz no matter what. I think basically the UFC, they're trying to make a big splash on International Fight Week. That's it used to be they would do the Ultimate Fighter finale. They would have a Friday card, that Saturday card. It used to be crazy. International Fight Week used to be insane. Sometimes they'd have 3 cards in a week.
And they'd have a big convention and stuff, too. All the fighters would be there. It was a massive thing. Yeah.
You'd have Kobe Bryant there talking to the fighters. You'd have all kinds of celebrities. So, yeah, it's a little bit different. But, I mean, they have the extra week to build. It is Conor McGregor. He's fighting Max Holloway, which is a crazy fight. I think I mentioned on this show last time, he could have fought Michael Chandler. He could have came back and kind of got a layup fight. But he's coming back to fight Max Holloway. So he's coming back to fight one of the best guys in the world right now. And, he beat Max in the past. That was about 10 years ago now. Obviously, we've seen where Max has gone since then. And, Conor's been off a long time. But it is still Conor McGregor. There is still going to be a ton of buzz. Once next week hits and once, it's fight week, you are going to see a lot of buzz. And it's still going to be huge. I mean, it's still Conor McGregor. I know the World Cup's going on, but Conor McGregor is up there in terms of celebrity amongst the athletes. So, yeah,
and he's international too, which helps, right?
Yeah,
it's not if it was just Sean Strickland or something. It was just an American guy. It'd be a little different, so they can play into it. And listen, I'm seeing that Conor does get them attention, right? Conor's in the mainstream media. You see him popping up right now. He's got promos and commercials running, etc. So he's a great businessman, but there is a fight to be fought as well. And, obviously there are numbers up. What I'm curious about, I'm looking at Bet Online. I'm looking at the total for the fight right now, 2.5. So I got to tell you, they got a low price here right now. They've got Max Holloway minus 235, Conor McGregor plus 200, over under 2.5. Total rounds 2.5 plus 110 to the over. Under 2.5 is minus 130. I mean, there's a sort of a thought that Max Holloway is going to beat him up, right? I mean, but you and I talked about it. We've been talking about it for a while, that it is Conor McGregor. He is extremely skilled. Kavanaugh's a great coach. They're going to have a game plan. The question is, how long can that game plan last, right, as the fight goes on? But I put it this way. how do I not bet over 2.5 here? Like, is Max Holloway really going to drop Conor McGregor or sub him right away? And I don't think he's going to sub him because I think he wants to beat him up for 25 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, looking back, obviously the last 2 fights with Dustin Poirier, they both ended pretty early. Obviously, the broken leg in the last fight.
Yeah.
But
Poirier's
Conor,
different. Poirier's more of a go for the kill right away. You know what I mean? It was kind of different style of fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like that was, Conor, that was a very bad version of Conor. I mean, if you looked at Conor back then, he was doing everything
it was
wrong.
a drunk and coked up. Let's call it.
Yeah.
Like it was a drunk and coked up Conor. Right. It's the end of the line party.
At
Yeah. It
least
was the
right
party.
now,
It was the party Conor.
He is right. Exactly. He appears to be sober to some extent. He's religious now. He's talking about Jesus. He's talking about all these things, trying to be a family man. So it does look like he is doing the right thing. So I expect Conor to come in here.
Tom. I'm sure you've seen the pictures.
Shape.
Like he is, but you know better than anyone. And I'm not Mr. Universe here, but like looking in shape doesn't win fights, right? He hasn't fought in a while.
That's true.
You can look great.
It's a
You can
long
lift
time.
weights. You can look great, but once you start getting punched in the face, the gym doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. But, going back to the over 2.5, like Max is a guy that's known to draw out fights. I mean, a lot of his finishes come late in fights, and he's gone the distance. He's gone 5 rounds with guys where he's landed 500 strikes. I remember when he fought Arnold Allen. I think, was it Arnold Allen? No, it was during COVID. It was one of the guys from New England. I can't think of his name right now, but I was playing DraftKings at the time, and because we weren't even able to bet the fights, and he scored like over 200 points on DraftKings because he landed like somewhere in like the 500 strike range. Like it was crazy. And that fight still went 5 rounds. He was talking to DC in the corner saying, I'm the best boxer in MMA, not even looking, and, landing strikes. And that fight still went 5 rounds, despite the fact that he completely dominated the entire fight. So Max is a guy that does go longer. I mean, he knocked out Gaethje with less than 10 seconds to go when he pointed to the canvas, in the 5th round and said, let's do this. Here's your shot. Knocked out Gaethje real late in the fight. So Max Holloway fights do tend to go long. Conor McGregor is a pretty durable guy, generally speaking. I mean, we haven't seen him in 5 years. That could fall off a cliff, but I would expect it to go over 2.5. And I would expect Conor to look really good in the first round or two. And then after that, who
there's
knows?
almost, I don't know, it's almost like the odds makers, they're worried. It's funny how they used to like overprice Conor. Now it's like the other, they're like, well, we're kind of worried how long, I don't know, they almost think like, is his leg going to snap in half again? Like, you know what I mean? Is something going to happen, right? Like, but I don't think so. And like I said, too, guys, like, listen, I'm not saying if Max, wouldn't mind knocking him out in 10 seconds, but we've all seen Max Holloway fight, and I think Max, like, legit, like, Max got thrown to the wolves early. Like, we were just talking about, like, the back end Conor that Poirier got. Max got prime Conor. like, there's a difference. Like, Max Holloway got prime, like, right on top of his game, Conor McGregor. And Max Holloway was literally, like, 22, 23 years old. And they're like, yeah, you're a badass Hawaiian. We know you're tough. Like, you're going to throw you in here. And Conor was running through people, and Max actually hung around. And I remember at the time, Conor said after, man, this kid's going to be a future champ. Like, he's got the it factor. He's a fighter for real. And there was always sort of a respect after. But, once the smack talk starts, and now you see, and Max, like, wants retribution. And I saw Max, and I almost believed him when he said, I want to stretch it out and beat you up. Like, he kind of, I kind of believed him. You know what I mean? I'm like, and also, it's not that easy to knock Conor McGregor out right away. Like, Conor's going to be at his best in the first round, guys. Like, it's going to start to fade as the fight goes on. But very interesting card. That's obviously not the only fight on the card. We'll take a look at some of the numbers and kick the tires on UFC 329 on the other side. Combat Sports Report continues. Bring it. Let's roll. Combat Sports Report continues. We're kicking it with Tom Zaffino right now, taking a look at UFC 329. We got our best bets coming up for the BKFC card in Philadelphia. The Liberty Brawl, Austin Trout, the main event, former world champion, of course, in the boxing world, fought the who's who in the top venues of the world. Undefeated in BKFC, really intriguing fight against Bonner. But Conor McGregor, speaking to BKFC, Conor McGregor, one of the co-owners, co-owner now of BKFC. And, Conor is going to fight in BKFC. I would imagine, that's my prediction, like I'll just throw it out there, that he'll fight. It's going to be him and Chandler and BKFC in a couple of years. But Conor's definitely going to do this, right? He owns the company, and he also, he owns a big part of the company. He understands how much attention he'll bring to it, how much money he'll make from that, and he won't have to share it with Dana and everybody else. Etc. But another really, really cool fight on this card is Benoit Saint Denis and Paddy Pimblett, in which Benoit's a minus 150 favorite right now. Paddy Pimblett plus 130. Another 2.5 here. Tom, what's your interest level in this fight? You excited to see how this one plays out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, how can I not be? I mean, first of all, Paddy Pimblett, the guy is entertaining. Like, he's like a Conor McGregor light. He's entertaining outside the cage. He's a good trash talker. He's been talking to you
for being. He's earned my respect at least for being. Yeah, he's gotten better as a fighter. I used to kind of think like, dude, just shut up. You haven't done anything. But he is a tough dude. I can't take it away from him.
Yeah, and you have to give him credit. Like, I talk to people and they act like Gaethje just beat the hell out of him in that fight, but he had a lot of good moments against Gaethje. Landed a lot of big shots. Gaethje eye poked him a couple times. There was a few fouls in that fight, and one of the eye pokes actually kind of cut his eye, so it kind of made it look like a bad visual. And Gaethje hit him with some massive, massive shots. And he talks about it. Scousers don't get knocked out, and that was a fight where I thought he was going to get knocked out, and he hung in there, and took those big shots. And we just saw what Gaethje is. Like, Gaethje is an absolute dog. So you have to give Paddy his flowers for that fight. I mean, it was a hell of a fight. He had moments in that fight, and he's a very, very good grappler, a very good jiu-jitsu guy. Benoit Saint Denis, we know what he wants to do is grapple, and I've been a backer of Benoit for quite a while. I mean, I'm impressed with the guy. He's extremely good. But the one thing I have noticed in a few fights, the Poirier fight, he had a staph infection, so you kind of give him a little pass on that one, but he did gas out pretty hard there. He has kind of slowed down a little bit in fights where he really grapples heavy. And if he's going to grapple heavy against Paddy, Paddy's going to be throwing up triangles. He's going to be throwing up sweeps. He's going to be doing all kinds of stuff. He's going to be scrambling. So I think this is a really good fight, a fun fight. And right now, I don't have a bet on it or anything, but I have to lean Paddy. I just think he's got the more well-rounded game. He's a very durable guy, and he's going to be in that fight the whole way through.
I don't know how we don't look at over 2.5 in this one as well, at least in my opinion. It's 2.5 right now, plus money too, to the over. So you're getting plus 120, which means, if you want to go to the 1.5 at that minus money, that would be an option. But a lot of cool fights on this card. Gable Stevenson, a 21-1 favorite. 21-1 favorite against Ellison. And that's one of the biggest numbers. I don't know, maybe it is the biggest number ever, actually. Ronda Rousey. Yeah, Ronda Rousey was in the same range. Like, a few times. Like, she was in that minus 1,800, 20 to like, against Holly Holm. Holm got no respect in that fight, even though she was a former boxing champ. But, minus 2,100. Bo Nickel came in with a massive number. I mean, this is one of those, like, I don't know, do you take Ellison for $100 and you get $1,200 back if it wins, right? But,
no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, but what are the chances? Like, he's not going to lose, guys. Like, that's the whole thing. Yeah. Like, it's not like, he could lose. Like, nah, this is like Monday Night Raw stuff. He ain't losing.
Yeah, this is the old school squash match that I used to see in the old WWF.
This is a Goldberg. A 56-0 streak.
Exactly. And you know what? Speaking of Goldberg, with his quick finishes, I would be looking at the under half a round. If you can get 60-second, a decent price on a 60-second win. I mean, there's a very good chance he comes out and lands a haymaker and ends this fight. It's not competitive at all. I think it's probably over in under half a round. He's going to take him down.
Yeah.
He's going to smash him. He's going to beat the living hell out of this guy. I feel bad. I feel bad for the guy, honestly. And I hope that he gets a ref that has a quick trigger. You know, don't let him take too much damage. Just get him out of there. Maybe Dana White will say something in the back like, hey, listen, this guy's getting beat up early. Just you can stop it at any point because it's probably going to be pretty ugly.
Minus 2,100. We'll see when the props start to come out for that. But finally, and listen, Gable Stevenson, there's been so much hype, and he kind of, he's kind of reluctantly ended up here, to be honest with you, right? He wanted to be, the money. He figured, he was like, nah, I don't really want to fight. Like, it's not like he was scared to fight, but it was like, it's not where the money's at, right? And the WWE and Vince saw him and were like, dear God, like, all right, you know what? We got a black Brock Lesnar here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Didn't work. No personality. Like, he didn't have the spark, right? The WWE was like, hey, it looks great, but we can't really work with this. Like, I mean, he doesn't have the charisma that you need. Then he said, all right, I'll play football. Like Brock tried, right? I'm going to go to the Vikings camp, right? Like, so Gable is such a good athlete. He signed with the Buffalo Bills, went to their camp and stuff, and they kind of told him, yeah, if you worked hard at this for a couple of years, you could do it. And then he was like, all right, screw it, Tom. Let's go fight. And here he is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's probably making a pretty good payday, too, for this. So Yeah, they'll pay him. They need, like, American guys. It's like they're sort of an old school. Like, they need someone like him. You know what I mean? Like, the company will want to see him do well. But, yeah, I can't wait. Next week we'll get into the best bets, Tom. But it's going to be a fun card and great time in the sports year with the World Cup and the UFC, BKFC, and before we know it, NFL football will be back. Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Although I don't know if I can get as fired up for a Cleveland Brown game as much as I can even for like an Algeria game next to this World Cup.
Yeah.
That's another story.
It's been a fun World Cup, too. I've had a blast watching it.
All right, it's intense, man. It's intense. Tom Zaffino, always a pleasure, my man. Best bets, BKFC, as Goldberg used to say. Coming up next.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the ref's coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
we're to the final round of the Combat Sports Report, and countdown to First Punch is officially on in Philadelphia. So we've talked a lot about the Liberty Brawl, BKFC, and I really like to get to one of these events, but I'm on the West Coast. Right, I'm on the West Coast. They're not sanctioned on the West Coast, basically. Right, like they're not sanctioned everywhere yet. Still, even though that's ridiculous. And I think with the growth and the people see the commissions, you see, all right, Fenway Park, and it'll start to grow more. And they're sanctioned in some parts, but you know what I'm saying? Like the East Coast is their bread and butter, so to speak, where they can sell tickets for this. So you got Ben Bonner and Austin Trout as the main event. I've always been a big Austin Trout fan, and I was really looking forward to it when we had him on the show. And it was one of those, like, really looking forward to it interviews, and it didn't work out well. Right? He was a cool dude, and the whole thing was, like, me and him spoke off the air, and it was way better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he almost thought we were live. I said, hey, what's up? We started talking, and he went off, and he was walking down the street on his phone, and it looked good, and it sounded good. So we didn't have a problem with it. And I was like, all right, we're going to start now. And he goes, no, hold up. I'm going to get in my car. And then he got in his car. The connection sucked. He kept cutting out. And then some dude, like, got in front of him with the lights. And, like, it was like like, even he started going, man, this isn't working out. But I've always been a big fan of Austin Trout. And it's super cool to see him in this, like, at this level, BKFC doing this against these dudes. With all due respect to Ben Bonner, you're a hell of a fighter. Maybe if Austin Trout wasn't in your way, you'd get the belt. Austin Trout is in your way. You're not on his level. And you're not going to be able to knock him out. You're talking about, oh, he's never faced power like me before. Dude, the guy's like, come on. The guy's fought in the best of the best of the best in the world before. He knows how to take a shot, but he also knows how not to take a shot and now not to get hit. So he's like, Austin Trout basically wears these guys out, right? They come out. Trout knows that these guys are going to be super dangerous, like in the first, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, but they're going to swing it air. They're going to chase ghosts. And then as it goes on, they're going to get frustrated. And then Trout just starts picking their face apart as the fight goes on. But his big thing is defense and knowing how not to get hit. So listen, I think Trout's going to win this fight. He is a minus 550 favorite at BetOnline. It's pricey to lay on its own, obviously, especially in a bare-knuckle fight. But with that being stated, we talked about Sarah Schell and Britton Hart. And no disrespect to Sarah Schell, great story, but like Britton Hart said, and she's not kidding, this is her life, right? I mean, she's a champion. She doesn't want to give this thing up. Dude, she lost to Ferreira and she lost to Rollins, like earlier in her career. Like, she's won 5 fights in a row, which isn't easy at this level. She's not losing this fight. And parlay together, and this is one of these deals where it's moving, because I got this at minus 159. Now I'm seeing minus 174s for the parlay of Austin Trout and Britton Hart. Now we get into Mike Richmond and Garbarino. We showed you the video earlier of Garbarino throwing the cannolis at him. And listen, Garbarino always tries to get under people's skin. This is his thing. He's a Philly street fighter. But Mike Richmond, another fighter that's fought in the best of the best. And like Richmond, like a man of few words, said, I don't even throw cannolis at me. You could talk and all this, but we're eventually going to have to fight. And, Richmond's been around the block a lot. Like, put it this way, this is going to be an impressive win for Garbarino. Like, Richmond's not washed. He's 38 years old. It's not like he's super old or anything like that. So this is Garbarino's first, like, real name test. He hasn't fought a name guy yet. So this is a name guy. Garbarino's a local fighter. He's undefeated. I don't think he should be a 2-1 favorite. He's a minus 195 favorite right now at BetOnline. And I tell you what, Mike Richmond was like plus 185. Now I'm seeing plus 170. Sort of everything that I'm thinking is starting to sort of, the market is kind of thinking what I'm thinking with these fights. So let's parlay Austin Trout and Britton Hart together, and let's roll the dice with Mike Richmond as a live underdog here in this fight against John Garbarino in Philadelphia. It's the Liberty Brawl, BKFC. Our boy Lex Ludlow's on the card, but dude, he's minus 1,500. What the hell? Like, what can we do with that? Like, you can't even put that in a parlay, and they don't have round props and all that type of stuff. So it's straight up or bust, baby. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.